Connection isn't just about making someone feel good in the moment, it's about creating a sense of safety and trust that allows the relationship to grow and deepen over time. When someone feels emotionally connected to you, they're more likely to open up, be vulnerable, and truly invest in the relationship. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're on a date and the conversation is flowing. You're chatting about favourite travel destinations, and she tells you about a trip that meant a lot to her. Instead of just nodding or switching topics, you say, "That sounds amazing. What was it about that trip that made it so special for you?" Do you see what just happened? You didn't just acknowledge her story, you invited her to share something personal. You showed genuine interest in her experience and emotions. That's what emotional connection is all about. Here's another example. You're at a party chatting with someone new, and they mention they've been feeling stressed lately. Instead of brushing it off or jumping in with advice, you say, "That sounds really tough. How have you been handling it?" Again, you're doing more than just listening. You're showing empathy. You're letting them know that you care, not just about what they're saying, but how they're feeling. And that's a powerful way to build a real connection. Why does this matter? Because emotional connection taps into one of our deepest human needs, the need to feel seen, understood, and valued. And when someone meets that need, we naturally feel drawn to them. That's why these 3 magic words are so powerful. They're not just words, they're tools to help you create emotional intimacy. They show the other person, "I see you, I hear you, you matter to me." But here's the catch. Emotional connection doesn't happen by accident. It takes intention, effort, and presence. It means putting your phone down, making eye contact, and actually listening. Ask thoughtful questions. Be curious. Show empathy. Don't just respond. Connect. Here's one more example. You're out for coffee and the other person starts talking about a tough situation at work. Instead of giving advice or trying to top their story, you say, "That sounds really frustrating. How are you feeling about it?" That's when real connection happens. When you create space for someone to open up emotionally, as we dive into these 3 magic words, keep this in mind. It's not just about what you say, it's about how you make the other person feel. When you prioritize emotional connection, everything else falls into place. Pro tip, emotional connection is a 2-way street. It's not just about making the other person feel seen, it's also about you being open and vulnerable. When you share your own thoughts, feelings, and experiences, you invite connection in return. All right, let's move into the next section. Section 2, the first magic word. Let's start with the first magic word. I know what you're thinking. Wait, that's it. Just you. Yes. And here's why it's so powerful. When you use you intentionally, it shifts the focus of the conversation to the other person. It makes them feel seen, valued, and appreciated. And that's where the magic begins. Think about the last time someone made you feel really special. What did they say? What did they do? Chances are they focused on you, your thoughts, your feelings, your experiences. They made you feel like the most important person in the room. That's the power of the word "you" when used the right way. Here's an example. You're on a date talking about hobbies. Instead of going on about yourself, you say, "You have such interesting hobbies. What got you into that? See the difference." You're not just making conversation, you're showing genuine interest. You're saying, "I want to know more about you." Why does this work? Because it taps into that universal desire to feel seen and understood. That's what builds connection. That's what deepens relationships. And again, it's not about just making someone feel good in the moment. It's about creating trust, openness, and emotional intimacy over time. When someone feels emotionally connected to you, they're far more likely to open up, be vulnerable, and invest in the relationship. Let me show you what that looks like. Imagine you're on a date and the conversation is flowing. You're chatting about your favorite travel spots, and she brings up a trip that meant a lot to her. Instead of just nodding or moving on, you say, "That sounds amazing. What was it about that trip that made it so special for you? See what just happened." You didn't just acknowledge her story. You invited her to go deeper. You showed genuine interest in her experience and emotions. That is the essence of emotional connection. Here's another example. You're at a party talking to someone new and they mention they've been feeling overwhelmed lately. Instead of offering quick advice or brushing it off, you respond, "That sounds really tough. How have you been handling it?" Again, you're doing more than just hearing the words. You're showing empathy. You're letting them know their feelings matter. That creates trust and emotional closeness. So why does this matter? Because emotional connection taps into one of our most fundamental human needs, the need to feel understood, valued, and appreciated. When someone gives us that feeling, we naturally feel drawn to them. And that's where these 3 magic words come in. They're not just phrases, they're tools for creating deep emotional connection. They say, "I see you, I hear you, you matter." When you do that, you go beyond surface level attraction. You build something real. But here's the thing, emotional connection doesn't happen by accident. It takes intention, it takes presence, it takes effort. It means putting your phone down, making eye contact, and really listening. It means asking thoughtful questions, showing empathy, and being genuinely curious about the other person's world. Let me give you one more example. Say, you're out for coffee, and the person you're with is talking about a challenge at work. Instead of jumping in with solutions or trying to relate it to your own experience, you say, "That sounds really frustrating. How are you feeling about it?" You're not just listening, you're creating a safe space for them to open up. And that's where real connection happens. As we explore these 3 magic words, keep this in mind. It's not just about what you say, it's about how you make the other person feel. When you focus on emotional connection, everything else naturally falls into place. Pro tip: emotional connection is a 2-way street. It's not just about making someone else feel good, it's also about being open yourself. When you share your own thoughts, feelings, and experiences, you create trust and mutual connection. So as we move into the next section, remember this. Emotional connection is the foundation of every strong relationship. And these 3 magic words, they're your secret weapon to building that connection. Section 2, the first magic word. Let's dive into the first magic word. Now I know what you're thinking. Wait, that's it. But trust me, this one small word packs a massive punch. When you use you intentionally, it shifts the focus to the other person. It makes them feel seen, valued, and appreciated. And that's where the magic happens. Think about the last time someone made you feel really special. What did they say, or do odds are they focused on you? They asked about your thoughts, your feelings, your experiences. They made you feel like you were the most important person in the room. That's what the word you can do when used thoughtfully. Here's an example. You're on a date and you're talking about hobbies. Instead of going on about your own interests, you turn the spotlight back to her and say, "You have such interesting hobbies. What got you into that?" In that moment, you showed curiosity. You made her feel important. You created space for her to share something personal, and that's a powerful way to build connection. Why does this work? Because when you focus the conversation on the other person, you're fulfilling that deep human need to feel seen. We all want to feel like we matter, like our thoughts, feelings, and even the little things about us are truly seen. That's the heart of every strong connection. Now let's dive into the third and final magic word, because this one might catch you by surprise, but trust me, it's just as powerful as the others, where you centers the conversation on the other person and feel connects to their emotions. Because adds something deeper. Purpose, intention, and clarity, it's the secret ingredient that makes your words land with real impact. Let me explain. Think back to the last compliment you received that really stuck with you. Chances are it wasn't just "you're awesome." It was something like "you're awesome because you always know how to put people at ease." That one simple word because transforms a generic statement into something specific, thoughtful, and personal. Here's a quick example. You're on a date. Instead of saying "you're amazing," say "you're amazing because you see the world in such a unique way." See, the difference now, it's not just flattery, it's real. You've noticed something specific, something meaningful, and that's where connection happens. Why does this work so well? Because see what I did there, the word. Because gives your words weight. It shows that you're not just throwing out compliments to be nice. You're speaking with intention. And when people feel that your words are genuine and thoughtful, they feel seen, appreciated, and understood. Another example, you're at a social event and someone just gave a great presentation. Instead of just saying, "great job," you say "great job," because you explained something complex in a way that was easy to follow. Now you're not just recognizing effort, you're highlighting exactly what stood out to you. Let's talk about how to use, because effectively it works best when it feels natural and authentic. You don't need to jam it into every sentence. Just be intentional. Use it when you want your words to have more depth and meaning. For instance, a friend tells you about a recent achievement. Instead of a simple "that's awesome," try "that's awesome because I know how hard you worked for that." Now you're not just cheering them on. You're showing them that you've been paying attention, you care. That means a lot more. And don't forget, tone and delivery matter when you use the word. Because say it with sincerity, make eye contact, smile. Your body language should reflect your words. That's how people know you really mean what you say. One more example. Someone at a party is unsure about a decision they made. You could say, "You made the right choice because you trusted your instincts." And that's something I really admire about you. That's more than encouragement. It's recognition of their strength. Pro tip use, because in questions 2, instead of "why did you choose that career?" try "what made you choose that career?" because it seems like such a great fit for you. Now you're not just asking, you're showing genuine curiosity and insight. Section 5, putting it all together, we've now covered the 3 magic words you feel. And because each is powerful on its own, but when you use them together, they become unstoppable. Let's put it into practice. Imagine you're on a date and she's telling you about a recent trip. Instead of just nodding or saying something generic,